That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Very busy hour on tap. Owner, CEO of this property, Derek Stevens, in studio coming up in 30 minutes. In Pocket Plays to close up shop. And here, two strong segments with Wes Reynolds. He is awesome on golf. His write-up just dropped at VSiN.com. We'll get to that coming up in about 15. And we begin this hour talking college basketball with Wes as he is on the Progressive Guest Line. First of all, good afternoon, Wes. Thanks for the time today. How are you?
Good afternoon, fellas. Thanks for having me.
You bet.
You got it.
Okay, so tournament outrights. Your neck of the woods, formerly anyway, before you moved to Las Vegas, was Big Ten territory. You're an Indiana guy. And this is a conference that you have followed pretty much your entire life. I found it difficult to land on a team to win this outright because I made the case for too many in my head, so I stayed away. But you like one of the best teams in this conference to win it outright this week. Who is it, and tell us why?
Yeah, Maryland was the first one that I went to, and they end up with the 2 seed Michigan. Kind of fell apart at the end of the season. The offense, especially, the efficiency numbers just dropped for this team, even though Dusty May did a really good job at this bunch in his first year. But they would go to the 3. So Maryland was kind of the first one that I looked toward because Maryland has a guy that can score in the low post now with Derek Queen, who just got named Freshman of the Year earlier this morning. I think deservedly so. He's probably playing himself into the lottery at this standpoint. And I've been impressed with the Terps. They've been a lot better than I thought. The offensive efficiency maybe could be a little bit better. I think they're 34th nationally, but they're 9th defensively. On a good run. The guards are starting to make some shots. This is not a team that shoots a lot of threes, but they make threes. They're 37%. I think that's top 40 in the nation. So Maryland and Wisconsin were really the 2 teams that I kind of looked at. And, I don't think there's anybody that's in that 10 seed range that's going to make a deep run. Maybe they run to the quarterfinals, potentially the semifinals before it ends. Maybe that's Indiana or Ohio State. But Maryland and Wisconsin were the 2 teams because Purdue concerns me a little bit with their depth. They're not as deep as they were last year, and they're so permissible at the rim. They're one of the worst 2-point defenses in the country, and when you don't have a 7'4" guy who's now in the NBA, that certainly doesn't help your cause. But I think Michigan State could be primed to get beat here early, potentially in the quarters by Oregon or Indiana, whoever wins that 9-8 game. But Maryland and Wisconsin would be the 2 I would look towards here.
All right, excellent. You're taking your shot here. They're a bubble team. They are 2.5-point dogs against Marquette in the quarters if they win at St. John's. What do you got on Xavier?
Well, I won't do the DMX bark, but I think X going to give it to you here in Madison Square Garden, and I do like Xavier. And Xavier's in the 4-5, right? They're playing Marquette. This is a win and in, by the way, that game, I think, for Xavier. I don't think that means they're out if they lose, but win and in. And this Marquette team, they're kind of running on a little bit of fumes late in the season. They lost a close game at Connecticut, and then the game on Saturday when the whole world, including me, was on Marquette on the money line. Double overtime. They get the rebound. They're going double overtime, right? And Chase Ross throws it away. Ejiofor intercepts it. They lay it in at the buzzer. St. John's is just finding ways to win game. And look, they're good defensively, but have been very lucky. But I think Xavier gets Marquette in the 4-5, and I think they can upset St. John's there in the Garden. I know New York's getting excited because St. John's hadn't been good in a long time. Guys were on Jimmy Fallon last week and, thought that they were going to let down against Marquette. Credit to them, they did not. But this offense really concerns me. I think St. John's has one bad shooting night where they're not forcing turnovers defensively and they don't get stops, and then all of a sudden they're out. They're only 66th in adjusted offensive efficiency per the KenPom. Number 3 defensively, by the way. But I like Xavier here. I think that they're getting healthy later in the season. They're starting to play really their best ball. They're still a little bit vulnerable in the rim, but Sean Miller's usually good in kind of the payback and the rematch match opportunities. And I think Xavier upsets St. John's, at least gets to the final and gets you a good ticket in pocket. So
it sounds to me, let's fast forward to the actual madness then, the big boy tournament. It sounds to me that when the bracket comes out, you might have St. John's bowing out a tad early, huh?
A little bit, yeah. I worry, everything's draw dependent, of course. We're going to hear that term a lot over the next couple weeks. But when I look at teams that can really win the national championship, and I don't want to necessarily be a slave to this trend, guys, but it's only not happened one time since 2002. That was 2014 UConn when Kevin Ollie was the coach. Shabazz Napier went nuts in that tournament and they won. Every national champion has been in the top 25 of adjusted offensive efficiency. And then when you combine the defensive rankings, has been 50 or less. So, yeah, you look at who can win. Of course, Auburn, Duke, Florida, Alabama certainly qualifies. Texas Tech, Houston, Gonzaga, Wisconsin. Like, those are Arizona, Illinois. Those are the teams that actually qualify in this regard. Clemson, a dark horse, does too, as does Tennessee. So you want one of those top 25 offensive teams. So when I look at some of the really good teams that are not in that, Maryland in the NCAA tournament, they're not in the top 25. St. John's, Texas A&M, we know that their best offense is really a missed shot because nobody rebounds the hell out of the ball better than they do. Number one in the country offensively. So I worry about these teams because everybody says defense wins championships, and I kind of say bollocks to that. I think it's offense, and I've got this video stuck in my mind that I watched of Danny Hurley, of course, the two-time national champion UConn defending head coach. They're down this year, but he's right when he says, no, I recruit offense. I can teach you to play defense. I can coach you on defense. I'm recruiting offense, so offense is what's going to win in March.
Follow the money, Pauly and Mitch VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Wes Reynolds, our guest on the Progressive Guest Line, talking hoops. Another future SEC starts tomorrow, 9 a.m., South Carolina, Arkansas. What do you think about A&M making a deep run? They got off to a great start, and now they've been a disappointment the last month or so.
They have been, and there was a little bit of buzz being put out there, no pun intended, with Buzz Williams, as if, okay, he's got 8 seniors, maybe this is going to be his last run at A&M, maybe he's in line for another job. The buzz to Indiana has died. I don't expect that he's going to be the choice there in Bloomington, but they did win their last 2 games. They upset Auburn when they were number 1, and then they won at LSU to finish out the season. What I like about A&M is that they are experienced, and they do have 8 seniors. They are number 7 overall in defensive efficiency and number 1, as I mentioned, in offensive rebounding, because they're not really a good shooting team, but nobody gets more second opportunities than these guys. And the SEC, look, is so wide open. The first day, even with 4 matchups tomorrow, you got 4 really good matchups where you might get 13 or 14 teams out of these guys in the tournament. And I think as a Big Ten guy, it breaks my heart to say it, but the SEC has been the best conference in college basketball this year. So why not go a little bit down the board, not go at the chalk with the Auburns and the Floridas and the Alabamas, and look to a team like Texas A&M? They're certainly capable.
All right. Do you have an opinion on the West Coast title game out here in Las Vegas tonight? Gonzaga about a 3.5-point favorite over St. Mary's.
Yeah, I wanted to lay Gonzaga, but at 3.5, I'm going to be priced out a little bit, and it's not because of that whole mantra, which it doesn't often ring true, even though people think it does. It's difficult to beat a team 3 times. St. Mary's has been a tough matchup for Gonzaga. The fact that Gonzaga actually had to go to a zone in the kennel against St. Mary's tells you that defensively they're just not as good, even though they're still pretty solid offensively. But I'm priced out a little bit. It seems like from what I'm reading, it's a little pros versus Joe-ish, where a lot of the pros are liking St. Mary's here. But as of now, nothing for me. Maybe get involved in game. I tend to think Gonzaga, I know the metrics guys really love them. I tend to think that they're going to pull this game out. But if you look at all the different bracketologies that are getting put out there on a daily basis, they're an 8 seed right now.
Yep.
That's still kind of a dangerous 8 seed. If I'm a 1 seed, I don't know if I want to see this team in the second round.
They got to make them a 7 if they win.
Yeah, for 100%.
Yep. I'm with you, too. I mean, I know they have the talent. You'd be scared to death to see them in the second round. How about the Horizon League with Youngstown State and Robert Morris, if you like anyone in that game? The total moved 6 points.
Yeah, two really good games last night there at the Indiana State Fairgrounds Coliseum, with both going to the wire. But Youngstown State would be my lean here. I have not played it as of yet. Both teams, by the way, won on each other's home floor earlier this year, which was a common theme, actually, really, in the Horizon League. But They got to get, if they can get the big guy Folgaris for Robert Morris in foul trouble, that's going to be a big deal, I think, for Youngstown State. They like to get it up and down the floor a little bit more. They're the number one team in terms of 3-point rate. They shoot the most in the entire league. So, that's always the great equalizer here. But I think that this game probably does go to a grind. I'm not going to chase the move here. I understand why it moved to an under, because this just seems like, okay, they got a good pace going, and then you get to the final 5 or 6 minutes like you get in most of these conference championship games, where it just slows to a crawl, where they're taking 30 seconds every single time. And the only thing you're worried about if you have an under is if you're going to get a foul fest at the end. So Penguins would be my lean here, yeah. And if I could see 4.5 or so, I'll take that.
All right, Wes, minute left here in this segment. Let's get a little dirty. Big Sky. Montana State takes on Northern Colorado. State your case for the dog here.
Starch Madness up in Boise with the great Joe Cravens on the call, by the way, tonight. You'll love all his sayings if you're listening to the broadcast tonight. But I do like Montana State against NoCo. NoCo was the number one seed in the Big Sky. They're the best offense. Montana State has been one of the better defense. I think they ranked second. Montana State, what they did about a week and a half ago, and I give Matt Logie, the coach up there, the credit, he benched Brandon Walker, who was their highest usage guy throughout the entire season, and just didn't like the matchups and maybe felt that the offense was stalling. And then you look at the last 3 games, they've had 3 of their better offensive efficiency games. When you look at the points per possession and all the different metrics that measure that, they've been very good. So I understand why Northern Colorado, experienced team, they've been the best team in the conference, is getting the money, but I'm going to fade the steam here and take the Bobcats at 5.5.
Very nice. You can watch and listen to live shows and replays throughout the entire network. It's all free. Everybody has free access until Selection Sunday, March 16th. Get the VSiN Watch app available now. Download on the App Store for your iPhone and also on Google Play for Androids as well. We'll get Wes's plays for the Players' Championship next here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
So everything, the network, the site, the app, all of it's free until Selection Sunday, March 16th, including Wes Reynolds' weekly write-up on the PGA Tour. This week we moved to the Players' Championship. He's hit 3 outright so far. Easily could have had a 4th one. A couple of those, by the way, in the 100-to-1 range or higher. So his write-up is free. I just retweeted it. It's also on the website at vsin.com. Wes, you're one of the best golf handicappers I've ever met in my entire life. You're phenomenal at this. So let's start at the very top of the board. Scheffler, I'm guessing a little bit too low for your liking, yeah?
Yeah, and look, he's number one in everybody's model and in all the stats, won back-to-back. And it's like, you know what? If you can win 3 times in a row at TPC Sawgrass, I'll tip my cap here. I can't do it at 4-1 necessarily. He actually beat me last year, and I had to get some in play on him because I had 2 of the 3 runner-ups with Xander Schauffele and Brian Harmon. So, this is if you look at the form of all of these guys, and I'm even talking the high-end guys, the Rorys and the Morikawas and the Justin Thomases, et cetera, everybody's missed cuts here. Everybody's had bad players here. It's just the way it is when you've got so much water on the course, and the fact that it's a Pete Dye risk-reward course, because he's daring you to hit toward the trouble. And that's really what you got to do. You got to hit toward the trouble, because if you go on the conservative side, on the opposite side, that gets you in more trouble. So Pete Dye kind of tries to trick you a little bit, but if you're willing to be bold and hit the correct shot, you can post low scores here. So, Scotty Scheffler, rightfully the favorite, I think, this week. But if you're going to play him, maybe play him in a matchup or in a top 5 or a top 10. But I'm not going to bet an outright unless I have to, like last year.
Okay. What do you think about Hideki at 33-1 at FanDuel?
Yeah, that's who I played. That was my second choice on the board. He's got some motivation here. You're always motivated to win the Players' Championship because it is, quote, unquote, the 5th major. But I think he's got extra motivation. If you recall back to 2020, in the first round. He shot an opening round 63 to break the course record at TPC Sawgrass. I hope you guys didn't have tickets on him. I know a few that did. And then COVID-19, of course, turned the world upside down, and that got canceled. But he's followed that up. He was 5th in 2023, and he was 6th here last year. He is number 1 on the PGA Tour this season for scrambling. He's 3rd for around the green. That's going to be very important this week because these greens, about 5,500 square feet on average, not the biggest greens you'll see on the tour. So you're going to miss, and you're going to have to chip out of not only thick rough, but you're going to have to chip out of short grass. And Matsuyama's been great around the greens this year, pretty much throughout the season, and was really good last year as well. So Matsuyama is a play for me this week.
Very good. I'm very high on Hideki this week. I have several bets on him as well. Let's go. The guy closest to the top of the odds board. You already said no Scotty. There's no Rory here. You're not going to go to Colin, who could have won last week, Morikawa, but you want to go with Ludwig Aubert.
Yeah.
Tell us why.
Yeah, I almost went with Colin, and he's kind of the one that scares me, but I feel like he's maybe too much of the obvious play because credit to Russell Henley. That was a hell of a shot on 16, the chip in where he won, and all the people that backed him, including Jeff Seeley. But you felt like Colin Morikawa should have won that event, and he didn't end up getting it home. I am going with Ludwig this week, who is probably 16 to 1 now, market consensus. Won a big event, his biggest career win to date earlier this year at Torrey Pines at the Genesis. And so he's a big game player. And he goes against some of the trends that I talk about where experience kind of matters. He's only got one start here at TPC Sawgrass as a pro, but he was 8th here last year. He actually played this as a junior golfer in 2018, the Junior Players Championship, and was 7th. But this is a home game for Ludwig, too, because he moved to Ponte Vedra Beach last spring, which is just about 15 minutes outside of Jacksonville. So he does his practicing and all his training right here at TPC Sawgrass. So this is a home game for him. So I think Ludwig, this is a guy that, was in the mix in 2 majors last year. He was in the mix at the Masters, didn't get it done. He was in the mix at the U.S. Open, was actually the leader on Saturday at one point, didn't get it done. So he's capable. I'm going to weigh talent over experience here and think Ludwig can get it done at Sawgrass.
All right, a little bit deeper down the board. It's Patrick Cantlay week for you this week.
Oh, I know. The numbers would say, what the hell are you doing? I'm playing him because he got 40 to 1, and this is a guy, I will say, on Pete Dye Designs that has gone very well. Scheffler won it, of course, last year, and Brian Harmon and Xander Schauffele were 2 of the 3 runners-up. I ran a little bit of a model here over the last 50 rounds for total strokes gained on Pete Dye Designs. Scheffler, Harmon, and Schauffele are 1, 2, 4 on that list, respectively. By the way, Justin Thomas is 3rd if you're on him this week. And who's 5th on that list? That's Patrick Cantlay. Now, he's never really done anything of note here at the Players. 19th was his best finish, 2023. But sometimes you do got to ignore form a little bit. Look, Scotty Scheffler missed the cut and was 55th before he won back-to-back years. So some of these guys come out of nowhere. So you see these guys miscut, finish 40th or whatever, and then they come on and win. And you've seen this several times over the years. He's been better with the irons of late, which has been his weakness, and I think what has kept him from being a major champion, where driving is really his strength, but he's been better with the irons. Disappointing finish last week when he was widely backed at Bay Hill. I'll buy on the dip with Cantlay at 40 to 1.
Same thing, same price, Lowry?
Yeah, I'm going back to the well with Shane Lowry. I had him last week. He was 36-hole leader, then stumbled on Saturday, eventually finished tied for 7th. He was 2nd in greens in regulation last week, tied with the eventual winner, Russell Henley. I often say you got to ignore a little bit of form, but he's actually a guy that has solid form here at TPC Sawgrass. Consistent finishes in recent years, 3 top 20s in the last 4, 8th in 2021, and he's hitting his irons beautifully. And if he can just keep it out of the bad stuff and keep it out of the hazards and keep that ball dry, I think he's going to be up there on the leaderboard on Sunday.
Jeff Seeley has been high on Daniel Berger a lot this year. I noticed from reading your write-ups, you've had him a few times as well. Are you going to go back to the well with him? And if so, are you going to do ladder bets with him? Are you going to do top 10, top 20, top 40, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I'll do placements. I'm going to have those out tomorrow on the VSiN picks page. But, yeah, I'm on Daniel Berger. I think he's finally healthy. He missed about 1.5 years with that back issue. and actually wasn't even in the field because he wasn't qualified because he hadn't played enough events and he missed 2023 due to that back injury. So I think he's chomping at the bit to get here. He's got 2 top 10s, 13th last time out in 2022 here at Sawgrass. Was actually probably going to finish top 10 last week before he doubled the last and finished 15th. But good run of form. He's healthy. The numbers have been consistent. Off the tee has been consistent. Approach. If he can make a few putts, I think he's going to be a dark horse.
And Aaron Rye, 75 to 1.
Yeah, Aaron Rye, who's another local in Jacksonville, moved to Ponte Vedra Beach last year. Couple solid finishes here. Nothing where he was a real contender. But one of the things I like to do on a week-to-week basis is kind of look at course correlations. And course correlations here, similar courses, guys that play well on similar courses to TPC Sawgrass. So, of course, you're going to look at the Pete Dye courses, and there's a lot of them out there. Harbor Town, where the RBC Heritage is played, and the PGA West, where the Amex, TPC River Highlands, where you have the Travelers. But another course that's not a Dye course that has a very solid correlation over the years here is Sedgefield. Sedgefield is where you have the Wyndham Championship, which is the week before, last chance to get in the FedEx Cup. So sometimes you don't get a lot of the top big boys playing that event. But if you look at guys, you have a lot of players actually over the last decade and a half, 20 years, that have won not only the Players, but have also won the Wyndham at Sedgefield. Siwoo Kim, Webb Simpson, Henrik Stenson, Davis Love, KJ Choi, Adam Scott and Tim Clark won the Players and were runner-up at the Wyndham. Kevin Kisner, Sergio Garcia went the reverse order. Well, Aaron Rye was who we were aboard and won with at the Wyndham Championship. He held off Max Grazerman to get his first PGA Tour win, and he's got actually good current form coming in. He was 4th in Mexico, and he was 11th in Bay Hill. Those courses, by the way, a little bit long for him. Those are getting out to 7,500, 7,600 yard plus. He's not really a bomber off the tee, but he's a hell of an iron player. So I think at this course, which is now a little bit over 7,300 yards, more of a premium is put on approach. Approach is, I think, the top stat that you want to look at this week if you're evaluating. And he was 7th on approach last season. I think he's kind of peaking at the right time. So Aaron Rye for me.
All right, pal, 30 seconds here. One more. The Gim Reaper, you like Doug Gim, 120 to 1.
I had to take one guy over 100 to 1, and I ended up on Doug Gim, who had his best finish of the season, by the way, last week, or 2 weeks ago, I should say. T11th at the Cognizant Classic, 6th for the season on strokes gained approach, and 9th tee to green. So that tells you, okay, he's striping the ball and hitting it pretty well. He's just got to make some putts. 2 good finishes, though, here. He was 6th in 2022. He's actually in contention to win that event, and 16th last year. So, look, you're going to have a big price on a guy that's never won yet on the PGA Tour, but I think his ball striking really fits here. So Doug Gim at 120. I had to have one bomb because they've been working out this year, these triple-digit shots so far.
Very good. Yeah, no question. You can follow Wes on X. He's at Wes Reynolds 1. He joined us here in the Progressive Guest Line. Thanks, Wes. Best of luck this week.
You bet, guys. Thanks for having me.
So we just hit his story that he has at VSiN.com. I implore you to read it every single week, and it's free for everybody. Free VSiN Pro access through March 16th. Daily best bet email in there as well from all guests and hosts. Access to our exclusive betting splits, 24/7 video access. Go to vsin.com/champweek. That's vsin.com/champweek. Derek Stevens next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Welcome back. Coming up in 15 minutes, In Pocket plays our best bets for tonight. Maybe even some tomorrow games on the card for the college basketball slate. Tuesdays on this program at this time, the owner and the CEO of this great property, Circa Resort and Casino here in downtown Vegas. Derek Stevens joins the program. Good to see you again. How are you?
Good. How you doing, guys?
Doing well. Solid week so far, booking these games now that we have the real championship week upon us.
Yeah, this is a great week. You kind of tell there's a little buzz in the air. It started yesterday. Today's a great slate. Tomorrow and Thursday. We're gonna get to full houses back here, so it'll be good.
We got a great email, and we talked about this yesterday on the show, breaking down, comparing this week to next week. Right? Championship week to the first weekend of the March Madness. So next week, the first 2 days, 16 games, obviously, both days. This Thursday, we have 48 games. I think it's like 16 games start before noon Pacific time. And on Friday, we have, I think it's 36 or 38 games, right? And they go all the way to like midnight.
Yeah, it's great.
You can't beat it.
It's great. It's great. I love it. I mean, this weekend's terrific, and then you go right into Selection Sunday. You calm down for a day, and boom, you got plans. One thing that's changed about Vegas, though, is that, I would say in the old days, things started on Thursday, and you still a lot of people checking in on Thursday. Friday was big, Saturday, but now it's different. People are like the check-in schedule. It's Tuesday. Tuesday's the main day, and Wednesday. Wednesday night in here, it'll look like New Year's Eve. It'll be busier than New Year's Eve. Won't be dressed as well, but it'll be like that. The Wednesday night of the playing game.
So wait, hold on. Is Wednesday night busier than Thursday and Friday night?
No, I mean Thursday and Friday. The thing with Thursday is Thursday starts so early in the morning.
Yeah.
That by Thursday night, you've already wiped out a few hundred people because they're not going to make it past 5 p.m. You've seen this. You know what happens.
I lived it.
You know what happens.
Patty's Day involved.
Yeah. But Wednesday night, it'll be wall to wall people. Every table game will be flowing. People coming in excited, hot. People flying in. This is such a great week where people fly in. They meet their buddies from all over the country. Yep. This is where they come in. Everybody has a place to meet up, get a drink, get ready to go, talk about the tournament. It's awesome.
What advice will you give people? Moderation. Don't kill yourself right. Pace yourself, right. Number one. What else you got?
Yeah. I mean, I could say that's a blue with the teeth. I mean, moderation. How's that going to work out? It never works out. Everybody says I'm going to take it easy the first night. I'm not going to gamble. Yeah, okay.
Sure.
You've got guys say that, right?
Of course.
Oh, we're going to take it easy. You didn't come to Vegas to take it easy,
Yeah.
I got to turn this thing on. But no, I would say, if you don't have a dinner reservation, if you plan on going to dinner with a group, but you better have something booked right now, or you better know somebody.
Yeah, so you're friends with Derek.
Yeah, that'll get you somewhere, not too far, I guess. You may have to go to these shoulder times. You may have to eat earlier, you may have to eat later. That's
Great
okay.
point.
I mean, Vegas 24-hour deal, so it's all right.
Yep.
Tell the story of the famous steakhouse down the street.
Golden Steer, 4 or 5 months in advance.
Oh.
I said, I can't get in. I'm a local. Sorry. Got 4 or 5 months in advance. I come in, I throw you $100, and I can't get a table. 4 or 5 months in advance.
But that's where you knew somebody, right?
Yeah.
And they helped you out?
But that was,
That's what it takes.
But it's right.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
You're
Golden Steer went crazy. But ever since that thing was on that TV show, nobody can get in.
It's crazy. Yeah.
The owner comes by and said, "Hey, any chance I get it?" It's gonna be tough. I'm like, "When do you want to come?" 6 months. It's gonna be tough.
Yes, right. So you're the perfect guy to ask too, but because you're an expert on parties, and we asked you what's the best Super Bowl party? What do you need? How do you compare it then to Madness? Where I think the number one thing though, when you guys came up with this, with the TVs, get the sound on every game on. We got 4 games going. Staggered a little bit, but 3-4 games at the same time. What do you need for the best March Madness party, viewing party at the casino, and for the big players? You
gotta have good, clear, concise 4 different content feeds. You gotta have the 4. You gotta have, if you got DirecTV 245, 246, 247, you got to have the CBS feed. You got to be able to have that. And you've got to have audio control or somebody at least running the show. You guys got to see what Mike Palm did, creating this thing over at the D Ballroom for a decade.
Active content.
Active content. You got to be able to do that. Yep. And we could do this here in the sports book, but whatever party you go to, got to make sure they're on the ball. They're on the ball. If you're going to give your time up and come to Vegas, you better have a good content manager to make it worth your while. So I would say that's real important. You got to have good screens. You got to have cold beer, easy access to cold beer. Restrooms. This is a weekend when restrooms are very important. This is a very disproportionate weekend. It's the weekend with the most amount of male versus female ratio you're going to have out of the whole year. Mm-hmm. So the men's restrooms, it's critical. You got to be able to have pretty close to come and go. At the end of a game, boom. It's like going to the bathroom at the end of the first period of a Golden Knights game. You get a surge.
Yes, absolutely.
That's exactly right.
It's well done. CircaLasVegas.com, code VSiN15. Book your reservation this week, championship week, or the Madness, CircaLasVegas.com. So I didn't see you last week. You were out of town. You've been a nice run here. Is it a bigger deal to you and the resort that the president was here, or that you're featured in the Best Picture that won the Oscar. Because that's a lot of staying power in terms of how long could that be? It's just, hey, I'm going to put this on, this one, Honora, whatever, and you see Circa in the back. So what do you take me through that?
Yeah, having a sitting president walk through your joint, whatever party he is, that's a pretty big deal. You know what I mean? You go down, if you're in Arizona, you go to the Arizona Biltmore. They still got pictures of presidents from 70 years ago that stayed there. So I think that's probably a bigger deal. Nora, that was interesting. We got a couple seconds in there. We had nothing to do with it, by the way. People were asking me on the night of the Oscars. They're like, "Oh my God, great job doing that." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I was out that night. I was actually, what was I doing? Oh yeah, I was in Arizona. I was doing this Cubs deal.
Yes.
And we were out to dinner. Like everybody starts texting me. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And I was with our director of marketing, and I asked her. She goes, "Yeah, everybody's texting me too." They had a couple of seconds, so I think we got lucky. We were in the right spot.
They filmed it on Fremont, and you had no idea, and then
we had no idea.
Circa everywhere.
No idea. Yeah. They had the little still Duratran picture, of our download Circa Sports app out there. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep.
Nora, what do you think of the show? I would have never watched it if it weren't for this, by the way. I could be honest with you. I never even heard of it until last Sunday. So I rented it on Monday.
What'd you think of it?
I haven't seen it yet.
I liked it.
Is it good?
Yeah.
I haven't watched it yet either.
Usually the film that wins the best best picture, whatever. I don't know. That's not really my speed. But
boy, they've been trending like that for a minute, hasn't it? Like that? Yeah. What? God.
I don't know. It's too artistic. It's not enjoyable to me. But this was I enjoyed it.
Did you like? They shot Wild Card with Jason Statham at the Golden Gate.
Yeah.
You had a bit role in that. That
I did.
wasn't bad, but that
I played my best self. You know what I was doing? I sat at the end of the bar and didn't talk for 6 hours.
Okay.
Back then I used to smoke, so I used to put my cigarettes out every time the camera had to come by. That's all I had to do for 6 hours.
Yeah. That's cool.
And were you on your own, by yourself?
No, our COO at the time, Dave Tuttle, sat next to me.
Okay.
We just sat there doing
for 6
nothing.
hours.
Did you
6 hours.
Did you meet Statham?
Oh yeah, we met. Every time they went to break, we were outside bullshit. We were.
Yeah, sure. BS.
Sure.
Beep.
Nice guy.
I just dropped. I can't believe I did that. Great guy.
Is it? Okay. What was I going to say? I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, so you don't even know, you weren't even aware, like when they were shooting the movie out here, like they don't shut down stuff a lot of times.
Surprising.
On this one, this wasn't like on our radar. I mean, they were going to come down. We shoot probably. There's probably 500 film permits per year up and down Fremont Street. So yeah, I mean, it kind of got lost in a movie, a low budget movie. Never heard of it. They're going to take some shots on Fremont Street.
Okay.
It happens a lot. So it never really made the radar.
Because I think it was the last Bourne movie that they made. A lot of it takes place in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
They had to shut down like the north end of the strip for this crazy car scene for who knows how long. I think it was like an entire weekend.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, like on those big ones, when they got to take up the roads. Yeah, we're all in on that.
Ocean's 11, same thing.
Yeah, there you go.
There's a scene. Did you see The Substance? This Abomination with Demi Moore?
No.
Did you watch that one too? Okay,
I
just Honora? All right. I couldn't believe that was nominated. I watched that a couple days ago.
Really?
Oh, my God. Stay away.
Okay.
It's disappointing.
Public service announcement.
Yeah, there you go. Right. Follow the Money Experience Beyond the Booth. Thanks to Derek putting this together and everyone. And Big Balls as well. Get a VIP cabana. Owner's box. We showed you the view. Your own server, your own bathroom. It's the big spot on the right, and you got the blackjack and the kiosk off to the right, and then the big screen TVs, plus 4 big screen TVs in your cabana. Spend the day with us, kicking back, watching all the action. Blackjack, shots, great food, lobster, corn dogs, everything out here at Circa. Beyond the Booth experience, first come, first serve, dates limited. VSiN.com/Beyond the Booth. Reserve your spot today. VSiN.com/Beyond the Booth.
So you're going to be in twice next week.
Right.
On Thursday, is it? You're going to bring in Private Plane Wayne?
Yeah, Private Plane Wayne's going to be in. This is at like 3:30 on Thursday. He texted me last night. He goes, "I've never been sober at 3 o'clock on a Thursday in March Madness."
I've never heard this full story ever before. I've heard it's one of the best gambling stories anybody's ever going to hear. So that's going to be next week. Thanks, Derek.
has an algorithm to determine the winner of any given college basketball game.
Someone gives you 10,000 to 1 on anything. You take it. Take it. Take it.
I bet you $20 I can get you gambling before the end of the day. No way. I'll give you 3-1 odds. Nope. 5-1. Nope. 10-1. You're on.
All right, time for In Pocket. And going with Oklahoma plus the points against Georgia to start tomorrow. Oklahoma last 4 in, according to Joe Lunardi. Huge game here with bubble implications. And Notre Dame against UNC. UNC lane 7.5. There's 8s out there as well. The track record of the last couple weeks of these top ACC teams against everyone else, crushing them. North Carolina beat NC State by 24, beat Virginia by 15, beat Florida State by 11, beat Miami by 19, beat Va Tech 91-59. Then led Duke with 10 minutes left and couldn't cover. But now probably have to win 2 games, and you get Duke again. Would 2 games do it? I don't know. We'll see if there's bid thieves and what happens at Chaos and all these other teams do. But Lunardi has them out, last 4 out right now. Notre Dame to start, then another game, and then they would play Duke for a spot in the finals. And it hasn't gone well against the Dukies. Again, it hasn't gone well against any good teams. They're 1-11 against quad ones. But I'll take UNC tomorrow against Notre Dame. And if you want to take Clemson, Duke, and Louisville the same way and keep doing that, I'm not going to put you off that, as well as all 4 of those teams have been crushing it against these bad teams in the ACC.
Okay. All right, recapping last night, Duncan Robinson over 2.5 threes. That was a winner. He made 3. Loser.
How many free throws?
Well, so the G-Bank bet of the day yesterday was the game under, which got there.
Yes, and Pepperdine.
I bet In Pocket here, first half under 64.5. They combined for 27 free throw attempts in the first half.
Oh my God.
The first two games, full games, had like 20 each. 27 free throws in the first half. Anyway, so that first half under was a loser between St. Mary's and Pepperdine. Moving on to today and beyond. College basketball tonight, Sacred Heart laid 4.5 as they take on Fairfield. I think Fairfield is pure garbage. One of my buddies follows this league closely. Like Sacred Heart tonight, on them. Southern Utah plus 5.5 at Utah Tech. That's a loser. Game just finished. Utah Tech got him by 7. Again, I knew it was fishy.
How many in a row had they lost?
14. Utah Tech had lost 14 straight games. They had 6 wins on the year. They were swept by Southern Utah. They opened up 2.5-point favorites. They were bet to 6.5. I bet them at 5.5. I didn't even think about it being fishy at first. Then when it went to 6.5, I'm like, wait a second here. What the hell's going on?
Imagine that full 6.
I would have banged my head against the window here till the end of the show. But that's a loser. What is that?
That's a bizarre.
What was going on today?
That's weird. I know.
I'm on the CAA title game over. Delaware, Wilmington over 148.
Concur.
So all the projection sites, the Ken Palms of the world, they make it higher than this number by like a handful of points for what it's worth. Delaware's tournament game so far, final scores here combined in order: 156, 141, 170 plus, and 150 plus last night, 154. So the 141 was the outlier. And I just think that with this team's journey now, they've won 4 games in this tournament already. Tired legs on top of it. I think they're realizing like what this ultimate destination is going to feel like. And this is an exhibit A here of a team that might be falling down by 10 because Wilmington's a big favorite in this game. But we have 2 examples now, Pauly, going back to last week, at least 2, of teams down by 16 points with a minute to 90 seconds left and fouling repeatedly. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for tonight. Tomorrow's college basketball action, I'm with you. UNC minus 7.5. That's only going to go up. And I bet Texas Vanderbilt over 148.5. I think we're going to get points in that game. And 2 bets this week so far in pocket at the Players' Championship. I'm on Hideki Matsuyama top 20. You can find that at least at plus 140. Great course history here. Good current form as well. And Michael Kim top 40, even money.
Good luck. Wonder if Mitchell's out. Cavs down to 14.5. Game time decision. Check that out. Free VSiN Pro access through March 16th. VSiN.com/championship week. No cost, no commitment. Every best bet, every host, every guest. The daily email in the morning from Bill 80. The access to the exclusive betting splits. The VSiN Watch app, and it's awesome. I was up there all day today, this morning. Every conference tournament preview, with the odds, with the bracket, with the predictions, with the write-up, and the trends from Mackinnon underneath. It's incredible. Great job by everyone. Check it out, VSiN.com/championship week. Bad beat alert. Cal Va Tech. Total was 140. It's gone to overtime. It's 60-60 with 3 minutes left in overtime.
Update, 65 apiece.
Oh, I'm way behind. Okay,
90
sorry.
seconds left. By the way, you might need double overtime to go over.
That's true. That's another. What, didn't Cal blow a nice lead in that too? And the other thing, yep, you're right, 65-60. I got 65-65, a minute left. DraftKings does a good job, along with Will Hill, largest in-play wagering menu every single day with the in-play. But when you look at DraftKings, with this time of year, their favorites in-play near the end of the game, the favorites are too high. You get some huge prices. Like Utah Tech is up 4-5 with 4 and change left, and they're like 650 on a money line. That's too high.
Well,
and you see a team. I've seen a team up 3 with like 2 minutes be a huge price.
Right.
Which they go really high with the favorites in play when it's coming down to the wire in the last 4 minutes.
I did notice that books, even now with conference tournament games going on, they're pulling them off the board with about 2 and change to go in the game. I wonder if they'll keep them up a little bit longer as the games get a little bit bigger here.
DK's got it up. We'll see. Minute left, 65-65, and they got the money line up.
Good for them.
No total. Yep.
Yeah, the total's at yank, too, with not too much time left. To your point about the Cavaliers, that point spread coming down, yeah, Mitchell's out tonight.
Okay.
He's not playing. It's only a 4-game slate in the NBA.
Yeah, bad job. But good point about Freak has dominated Indiana in his prop 32.5 tonight, points prop. In a total 6-point move, 232 up to 238.5 in that one. How about the 4 title games? So you got the over. How about what does Wilmington do to Delaware if they can go 5 wins in 5 days as a 12 seed?
Well, I hope it's just a track meet.
Beat them by 30, not that long ago.
88-58.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. That was in recent weeks.
I know, they just played.
Absolutely killed them.
This is a 2 against a 12. Polling for Wilmington. They could be dangerous come tournament time. It's up to 9. How about the Horizon? I got to go with the Penguins as well.
Yeah, I'm not on Robert Morse.
No.
I'm not.
They haven't been impressive.
No.
Yep.
I can't get there with them.
Too much. Nope. 6 point.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yep.
Sorry.
The move on the total as well. Come back up now. 142 down to 136. Did you say, now back up to 138. Did you say there was a big move on this?
Oh, my God.
The Southland game semis,
Yep.
Nichols and Lamar. Nichols, a lot of people like Nichols. They're off an overtime game, and they were playing games with it. I think they're a 1-point favorite now against Lamar off the bye.
Do you have the current point spread in total here? Because here's the exact breakdown. Chris B, shout out, sent me this morning. I did not notice the total last night, but I did notice where it was sitting this morning.
It's 136.5 right now.
Okay, it opened 150.5.
Come on.
150.5. So we had a 14-point move on a total in a conference tournament game. Was that just an error by one book that posted that number too early? We had a 12-point move on a total in the Missouri Valley.
Yeah, right.
And it still went under.
Yeah.
So that's the Lamar game coming up tonight.
Yeah.
That's dude, come on.
Mm-hmm. How about Central? Everything points to Central Connecticut State tonight in 10 minutes, 5 minutes in the Northeast.
I kind of want to tie them into Wilmington on a money line parlay.
Yep. Up 17 Saturday in the semis against Fairleigh Dickinson. Blew it. Won in overtime. They've won 14 in a row. They beat the 6th seed St. Francis by 15 and 16. St. Francis was down 15 against Long Island, rallied on the road to come back and win. They opened 9. They're up to 11.5 tonight in the title game.
Man, I think, you know what, I had one of those dialed up earlier today. Like a Wilmington, Coastal Carolina, and somebody else on a 3-team money line parlay. I don't think, if Delaware gets me, they get me.
Absolutely.
And for those kids and that coach, unbelievable story.
Yeah.
But it's a 12 seed going against a really good 1 seed in their conference.
And you don't want St. Mary's though. You don't want to take the 3.5.
I flipped on that game. So I haven't touched it. I might only get involved in play. But I know that you like the Gales.
Yeah, yes. They took them apart at Gonzaga in the last meeting. And so that was 6.5, that line, and they took them out no problem?
Yeah.
And now it's 3.5?
I thought that in that game, St. Mary's was clearly the better basketball team.
Yes, no doubt. VSiN Primetime coming up next. The in-play and the madness continues. 4 bids go out tonight, cashing out 11 p.m. to 2 a.m., and then by the book 7 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Tomorrow, going to be nuts. All the games. I can't wait. Tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, man. Best week of the year. Good luck with your bets tonight.